Hello, Sprouting Melodies families. I'm here today to give you an introduction into our next month's theme, and that theme is communication. The next month, we're going to be looking at lots of different ways that we increase the communication skills of the little ones in our Sprouting Melodies classes. So I thought it would be helpful to just give you a few definitions of words that you hear frequently in early childhood development in supporting communication skills. So the first two things that I think are important for you to be aware of is that we look at language and communication in two different ways. The first is expressive communication. And expressive communication is anything that we are outwardly communicating to others. This can include a wide variety of means of communication, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but expressive is anything that we intend to communicate to someone else. Receptive communication is what we are hearing from others. So that's when someone else is giving us a direction or calling our name or maybe just singing a note. What we have to do then as a communicator is receptively understand, interpret, and process that information. So we're looking at both of those things in our music classes, receptive language and communication, as well as expressive communication. So within expressive communication, there's also a wide range of ways that kids communicate. One of the first things that we look for is for body movements. And our body movements at first in young children is just movement to music or movement when music stops. That's a way for them to communicate that I want more, let's do it again. So it might be their foot tapping, it might be their arms moving. You'll also see them moving to music, but one way that they move is to communicate, and so we'll look for that. The next thing in terms of movement or using their bodies is we look for children to look towards something. That can be a way of communicating, and also to gesture or to point. So they might use one finger to point, they might move their body towards something, but that gesture is another type of expressive communication. Then we move on to starting to use our voice, and the next term is vocalizations. So kids will vocalize, and that can be any sound, a consonant sound, a vowel sound, combination of those sounds, where they're saying ah, or ooh, or any of those sounds are vocalizations. As we start to attach those sounds to a word, then we move into verbalizations. So verbalizations are when we are using a particular word or trying to use a particular word to communicate something. Oftentimes when our children start to speak, the words don't sound exactly as the word sounds. So then we call those approximations. Children make approximations in their speech when they say tar for guitar, or they say, what's another one that we hear sometimes? Uzik for music. Sometimes you'll hear a sound sort of like for more. That's another one that we'll often hear. So that's called an approximation. Once we have those approximations, we know they have the intent to communicate and they're trying. We work on advancing the articulation. So we want them to be able to articulate all of the sounds of the word to be understood by others. So that's when we take and move to more, or we take guitar and try to focus on getting both of those syllable sounds in guitar, or whatever the word is that we're working on. We would just add expectations around the articulation to make it more clear. The other thing that we do work on quite a bit in Sprouting Melodies, and you'll notice this in many of our classes, is introducing sign language. We know that sign language really does help to support early childhood language development, so we often introduce signs like more and all done in class. There's other signs that you can certainly add at home, adding milk, which is like you're milking a cow. Adding milk can be very helpful. Adding sleep, that one's also very good, and eat. Think basic functional skills. In music class, we really try to generalize more when you're asking for something. Sometimes they'll start saying more all the time when they first learn the sign. That's okay, don't worry about it. Introduce more signs. Once they've got more, teach them all done. If they start to throw their food or push it off their tray table, say, oh, you're all done, and then remove the food. But communicate that they're trying to tell you all done to reinforce that language. There's lots of ways that we try to introduce the sign language in class, but feel free to make things up at home as well. You can do what we call a home sign when you create some symbol that you use within your family to communicate with sign language. Feel free to be adventurous and explore to help increase your child's language and communication skills, both in our music classes and at home. I hope this perks your ears and attention towards some of the aspects of communication that we address in our classes each week. I hope you enjoy making music at home and in our program. If you have any questions at any time about your child's communication and their skills, or just communication in general, please feel free to ask any of us. We're more than happy to help. Have a wonderful day and keep making music.